Okay, let's see if this is behaving normally now. It looks like I might have fixed my issues, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good thing I checked because my audio wasn't right, so it looks like it's working now. Yeah, all my apps seem to be possessed and have bugs in them, and like this one, and they all like to crash. So I've been having all sorts of computer problems the past couple weeks. They tried to crash my internal hard drive, and I caught it in time where I was able to create I went out and bought a SATA solid state drive, and I installed a Linux Ubuntu operating system onto it. I was prepared for it. I had actually created a bootable ISO file in late July, and it was on a little USB stick that I was able to plug into the computer, reboot it, and go ahead and install the Linux Ubuntu operating system. That was the easy part. The hard part was dealing with all the apps. They're not like they were in Ubuntu 20.04, which is what I had before. Zach actually set up this computer for me, okay? Oh my God, dealing with the apps has been a nightmare. My Clementine music player, every day when I go into it, okay, the fonts get smaller and smaller. It's gotten to the point now where I need a magnifying glass to read what music I want to play. Finally, I decided to just to create a separate folder and put all my MP3 files in there that I play in Clementine, and then just open up with Clementine from the folder. Because I can't read my choices on Clementine. They're really messing around with my fonts, okay? It all started when I got obsessed with not having a brightness controller, okay? Yeah. I should have just left well enough alone, and so I was trying to mess with the Genome system, okay, to try to get a brightness controller. And I don't know if I did something that put some virus in it, or I am now of the opinion. And so I got so desperate, okay. And then finally I just gave up. And then I went to this Xorg version that you can go to on Reboot. And I could get the brightness controller to work on that one, sorta, okay. And I was thinking, man, Linux has changed. It used to be so efficient. The apps worked so well usually. And you might say, well, you got GovCView now. Yeah, this took some doing. I had to use the apt download and not the download from the, what do they call it, the PPA. Yeah, those don't work. Yeah, and I'll find out if this one works. But the horrible thing is that I was getting so frustrated. I thought, oh no, because I got so obsessed with the brightness controller and with trying to do that. Now my fonts, what kind of virus did I put into my computer? Now all my fonts, I thought at first it was brain control, but Garbage Man on our Hangout on Friday asked me to show him a screenshot of what my computer looks like, and he said to him the fonts looked thin and grainy and hard to read and microscopic. Ridiculous. It was like, and what's really crazy is it's inconsistent. Like, if I go on the Firefox browser, I have 3 browsers on my computer. If I go on the Firefox browser, when I had a DVI-D cable connection, that's digital from my monitor to my computer, Gmail, I could barely read the text. And it was the same on the Google browser or the Brave browser. So I thought maybe Sun Tzu is working through digital, because digital is basically ones and zeros, right? So I thought, thought maybe if I get a VGA, I threw out my VGA connector because I have an old monitor, okay? I threw it out. I thought maybe he can't work as well through sound waves to cause interference with the fonts. Because I thought he was sending some sort of signal through the digital cable that was communicating with my motherboard and then going out from the monitor cable to my monitor. And I may not have been too far off because when I did switch, I had to go buy a VGA cable because I had to throw mine out because it was all corroded. So I put a VGA cable in there and it seemed to help with Firefox. But at the Brave browser and at Google browser, Gmail is still, the fonts are still really cruddy and hard to read. Thin and grainy. You know, I think Sun Tzu has all sorts of backup plans. If one thing doesn't work, he tried to crash my internal hard drive. When that failed, he went to plan B, which was apparently to destroy all my software. He obviously he wants to consolidate his control over the human race, obviously. He's already got control. He is a walking computer, right? So he's going to be really good at this. He's got control over Windows and Apple operating systems already. The Jesuits got that a long time ago. That's why I'm with Linux. But when he broke into my apartment right after he made his announcement to the world that he planned on exterminating me because I don't deserve to live because of the murder of the 72 million that I was Manchurian candidated into doing, right? He wandered over to my computer and very coolly and calmly said, "Oh, you have Linux." And I think he was formulating plans in the back of his mind what he was going to do to destroy my computer. You know, what's really interesting is I did research on Linux because I thought, wow, on Linux Ubuntu. I thought Linux Ubuntu used to be so good when they were using Xorg. Now they're using this thing called Wayland, you know. Of course, they've been kind of using that all along, but it's now become the go-to, I guess you call it the graphics environment for Ubuntu. None of my hardware is compatible with Wayland. Yeah, I'm having trouble with it. So I just said, you know what, I got so desperate because of the font situation, thinking, oh no, I put a virus in here. So I thought I could solve it by starting all over, just a fresh install. And I already had everything backed up on external hard drives. So I was getting ready to do that. I put the USB in there and I was just going to reformat the disk and do a fresh install because I didn't realize that there is a way to do system restore with Ubuntu, but I hadn't set it up that way, so I couldn't do that. I don't have any like mirror points, you know. I got it set up that way now. You can do it with Ubuntu. I just wasn't, you know. I'm not a programmer, you know, but I know how to do it now. Anyways, but it's too late because the fonts were already crazy and I didn't have a system restore. So I thought I was going to go ahead and just format the disk and start all over and do a fresh install. Well, I think good deity stopped me because when I put the disk in there and I was getting ready to do that, I saw a big message come down the screen and it said, kill, kill. I thought, oh my goodness, I think a good deity did that. They realized that would have made my problem worse. So whoever you were, good deity, maybe it was Buddha, thank you. I mean, I realize now that apparently I did not have a virus as a result of all the fonts. I tried to change the fonts. I tried to download classic fonts to fix the fonts. I tried to modify the genome environment and nothing was working. Nothing. Stuff that should work. I tried all the stuff they recommended for fixing fonts. I tried going into genome tweaks and that didn't work. Nothing worked. Finally, I concluded, you know what? I think the problem is not is the Linux operating system itself. Apparently, Sun Tzu and his automatons have infiltrated Linux Ubuntu. You know, it's open source, which means there are hundreds of contributors, maybe thousands, from all over the world, and they contribute to the Linux operating system. Apparently, some of those contributors are automatons and bad Jesuits. Yeah. And they are putting programming, I believe, right now, unfortunately, and I'm glad I figured this out, and thanks to the deity who stopped me from trying to do a fresh install. See, here's what I think Sun Tzu was trying to do. He failed in causing my computer to crash. He knows now that I have battery backup for my computer. So his method before was he kept causing power failures, and he knew by doing that all the time, you know, that it would cause my hard drive to crash, and it almost did. Because after the last power failure, I was getting strange noises like "ee" from my hard drive, and it was getting ready to go. That's why I did an emergency backup, and then I went out and got a hard drive and installed a new operating system. And I thought my problems would be over. But oh no, Sun Tzu doesn't give up so easily. Yeah, okay, plan A failed. Her hard drive didn't crash. Piece of cake, let's go to software. Let's go and corrupt all her apps and mess up the Linux kernel itself. And that's what I think he's doing. If he couldn't, he says, well, she's got battery backup. But that's no problem. I can now start messing with all her software. And she still won't be able to make her weekly YouTube video. And I do a daily walk video. Let me tell you, the Kdenlive video editor that I've been using, the font is now microscopic. And it uses up so much memory. I have 8, I think they call it gigabytes or something, 8 gigabytes of RAM, okay? Which usually is sufficient for me. I got to admit having 16 would be better, but it's usually sufficient. But now the Kdenlive video editor is so memory intensive that when I use it now, especially with the new operating system, I have to watch it or it will crash. Yeah. Especially if I'm trying to do something complicated. So it's gotten to the point now where there's so much, it's getting to be like Windows used to be for me, okay? The reason I switched over to Linux is because it was a streamlined, efficient operating system, and it didn't have all the malware, the bugs, the spyware, and everything that Windows had in it. Well, it looks like Linux Ubuntu has caught up to Windows now, thanks to Sun Tzu, who apparently, I did a little homework on Linux Ubuntu to see why it's getting so buggy and everything, and behaving very much like Windows used to do for me. It seems starting in August 2024, which was right after Sun Tzu made his announcement that I deserve to die for being Manchurian candidated into murdering 72 million, right? That was when I think Sun Tzu started taking over Linux Ubuntu. Hopefully he doesn't have all of Linux. Like I said, I'm going to find out. When Jesus left us in June 2022, he was very happy. So he apparently has faith that I'm going to be able to overcome whatever Sun Tzu is trying to do. But yeah, what I noticed in August 2024 was that Linux Ubuntu adopted a new policy. They no longer are so concerned about security when they launch a new version. They are willing to take more chances. I wonder who was behind that. Huh? Yeah, this new version of Linux Ubuntu that I have is very buggy. The apps don't work as well as it did in 20.04, and it's really bogging down my memory. It's like they're putting a bunch of garbage into all the apps, and they're not as efficient and logical as they used to be. It used to be like I could go from step 1 to 2 to 3, and everything was efficient, organized, not anymore. Even now, when I'm using the LibreCalc Office suite, which I use to do my budget, nothing is logical anymore. It's like, yeah, they're messing with the programming in all of my apps and making them so that before, where I could do everything like 1, 2, 3, and I was done. Now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, to 9, 10 steps to do the same thing that I used to be able to do in 3 steps. It is ridiculous. They're just trying, and I'm thinking, yeah. The fonts are crazy. Yeah, they're getting smaller by the day. And then from one day to the next, I never know what's going to happen to my apps. So finally, I'm glad that deity stopped me, because if I had installed a new operating system, it probably would have been worse than the one that I installed about 2 weeks ago. Because now, I think Sun Tzu was so sure he was going to crash my computer that he didn't really put a lot of thought into contaminating the apps, because he figured he'd have me done in by crashing my computer with all the power outages he's been giving me. When that didn't work, I got to say one thing for Sun Tzu, he's on the ball, man. When that didn't work, he started working on my apps and on contaminating the Linux kernel itself. Yeah. So if I had downloaded the operating system again from my drive, it would have had all of the updated contamination that he's had time to do in the past 2 weeks. He's obviously on plan B or C or D. He said, "Oh, looks like I won't be able to crash her computer. Piece of cake, let's go for the software now." So that's what he's doing. So I'm glad that deity stopped me. You may say, well, what are you going to do if your operating system has been taken over? Well, I've let my men know what I suspect Sun Tzu and the bad Jesuits are doing. And I think, yesterday, it was really weird. I couldn't get on the internet. Yeah. Like I tried to upload a video to, my daily walk video to Rumble. It just stayed at 0%. It was not making any progress. Even at YouTube it did that. When I tried uploading it to YouTube. And BitChute, the same thing. Even at Odyssey, I'm thinking, oh, how strange. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard brain to brain from Brent that the enemy had bombed a lot of servers all over the world just to keep me from uploading my walk video. I think my husband Brent had to clone a bunch of servers just to get me operational so I could upload my video. This is what they're doing. They're so obsessed with me. I can't believe how well Sun Tzu knows my routine. It's like I said, I used to be able to do things 1, 2, 3, be done, boom. Now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 steps to be able to do what 3 years ago I could do in 1 or 2 steps. For all my apps. It's ridiculous. Yeah, and if I wasn't so smart, I wouldn't even be able to figure out the 10 steps. Yeah, I have to work around all the finagling that he's doing to all my apps. Yeah. Okay, but I'm being real creative. That's what I'm having to do. So I'm telling myself, okay, maybe you don't like the look of this font, but if it's readable, just live with it. And like LibreCalc, I downloaded another Office suite, and I'm going to see if I can work with that one, though it almost crashed on me about 5 minutes ago. I'm telling you. You say, what are you going to do? Ubuntu looks like it's been contaminated. Yeah, I'm going to try another operating system next month. I've spent enough on computers this month. Yeah. Yeah, another version of Linux, not Ubuntu. Yeah. I let my men know which version it is, and I've warned them to see if you can prevent the bad Jesuits and the automatons from going in there and causing problems. Like I said, when Jesus left us in June 2022, he was very happy. Yeah. I did research to find out which version of Linux would be most compatible with my hardware. And I'm going to be, you might say, are you going to stick with Ubuntu? I'm going to be working from 2 operating systems. Yeah. Yeah. For the Gail series, I want to have more options. For the Gail series, I'm having a hard time reading the fonts on LibreWriter. Only Office seems to be working, but I want to have another operating system in play because but I'm going to do it safely. I'm not going to I'm not going to have a separate partition on my current hard drive because I don't want to mess up that. I want to have it on a separate hard drive. Yeah, and it's also because I'm a very heavy computer user and I need a lot of space. Yeah, so that's what I plan on doing. I'll be doing that in October. I'm going to have another operating system that I think will be more compatible. I will keep Ubuntu up. My men seem to be telling me that they think they can get Ubuntu fixed in about a year. Yeah. So don't give up on Ubuntu. But I'm going to be going to another Linux operating system that I think will be more compatible with my hardware. I had a time getting a GovCView that worked. Webcamoid, none of them work in 24.04 with my Logitech Webcam Pro 9000. It's a 2011 webcam. Jesus doesn't want me to upgrade to anything else, okay? So yeah, I had a time. I want to be able to make my weekly YouTube video. So far it's going pretty good, so my men are probably making progress. But I had a time. And I don't like the grainy fonts. I mean, this is crazy. Yeah. Anyways, I have become pretty computer savvy. I've had to make sure I can keep Jesus happy. But I'm going to put another operating system in. I'll buy me another solid state drive, a SATA solid state drive, because that's what's compatible with my motherboard. And I actually mounted the drive a little lower. I ordered a special mount because the mounting hardware that I have in my computer is for an HDD drive, okay? That one is about to crash if it hasn't crashed already. That one is totally unplugged. It's not plugged into the motherboard or to the computer power source. And I'm just leaving that in there, I guess, for decoration, because I'm afraid to take it out because it looks like to take that out, I'd have to take apart my whole computer, and I don't want to risk doing that right now. Yeah. So what I'm going to do, I put the solid state drive, I mounted it a little bit lower, and I ordered something that's smaller that I can put the solid state drive in, and I'm going to put the other one on top of it and mount it above it. And I already have the cables that I need to connect it to the... yeah, my computer's set up that I can only do two drives anyway. Yeah, so I only have power sources to 2 drives. So yeah, that's next month. I'll be working from 2 operating systems. GovCView is working pretty good today, though. Yeah, I think. I'm really happy about that. But I want to have it available because my fonts are not readable on this one. And it doesn't look like it's fixable. They're grainy and thin. You say, well, you don't need 2 operating systems. I think I do. I think I do. It's getting to the point now where I have to jump all over the place to get things done. So like I said, it's no longer 1, 2, 3. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to get everything done. They've done this to my whole life. Like even going to my bank website, it used to be so easy. Now it's so stinking complicated. They got to send me a code, okay? I don't have a phone, right? I don't use a phone because the phones have Wi-Fi in them. So I have this VoIP phone, which I use on my computer. I did tell them to send me paper statements, but it would be nice to be able to get online and check because I shop every day. I like to keep my budget so I know exactly how I'm like a bookkeeper. I use Libre Calc, which is the equivalent of, I forget what they call it. They're using brain control on me. But I'm a meticulous bookkeeper with my finances to make sure that I'm in good financial situation and that I'm doing the $100 a month Gail savings for the Gail Commandments. And yeah, that's really necessary to keep me out of trouble. So, yeah, and I use the computer for everything. I use the computer to do my bookkeeping. I also don't have a checkbook register. I refuse to order online because I don't want to put any of my card information online because I don't trust the enemy. They're really good with the computer, as if you haven't noticed. So, yeah. So anyways, hallelujah. They've tried everything to take away my ability to make my weekly YouTube video, to do my daily walk video. I've been busy working. It's going to take me maybe 5 or 6 years to finish the Gail series. And I need to have a stable computer situation. So that's what I'm working on. I'm going for solid state drives because they're less likely to crash. However, the crashing can also destroy your motherboard. So that's why I got a battery backup, which seems to be working really well, by the way. So Sun Tzu's, he has been keeping me busy. I have been doing some cooking, though. I made some delicious food. In fact, I plan on doing that today. But yeah, I'm going to have to put off laundry for 2 more days because, I've been giving myself a crash course on Linux, how to install it safely and wisely. I'm getting smarter about this. Like I've learned, you need to install a system where you can do system restore, which is possible to do with Linux, by the way. I didn't know that, but I know now. Yeah, so yeah, I get better with practice. So anyways, you guys, I had to make a YouTube video, and hallelujah, I'm able to do it. Yes. And thank you to the deity who stopped me from trying to, start all over because I got so frustrated with the fonts. I thought I had a virus. I did not have a virus. The virus is the operating system itself from the source. I figured that out. You might say, well, maybe everybody's Linux computer's acting up. I think Sun Tzu's come up with something very sophisticated that targets my computer and makes me think I've got a virus. Yeah, I think the answer is to go to another operating system right now and make sure that my men take over make sure that all the developers are not bad people. Yeah. That's what I think the answer is. Or I will continue to have problems. I mean, it was really crazy, even Zoom. Like I go online, I no longer use Zoom through an app because the phone will ring at 2 or 4 in the morning. Even and the app doesn't give me the option to turn it off at night when I'm sleeping. So I go online to use Zoom, right? And whenever I want to use the phone to call, to get the code from my bank, which requires me to fortunately, my bank will send the code in an audio version. These VoIP phones don't take text. Yeah. You say, why don't you get a phone? Brain control. I have enough trouble with brain control. So yeah, you guys, this is what I'm dealing with, a big, complicated computer mess. But then what would you expect from an evil automaton, right? He'd be brilliant at anything related to the computer. So, fortunately, I'm still talking to you guys. He hasn't stopped me yet, though God knows he's sure trying. Even today, when I went out on my walk, it was crazy. When I tried to cross the street, somebody tried to hit me. I looked both ways and run. And then in the store today, at the checkout at the register, some lady who was checking out across from me, she was screaming at the top of her voice, saying, "Hey, somebody's trying to look over my..." I thought, this is an interesting day. Now, stuff like this is happening to me every day. The enemy is really hyped up about everything. They're obsessed with me. So you guys, you say, well, how do we deal with this? Well, you have to stay calm and be as you can, and be creative. And don't always assume that the answer is what is the stock answer. That's one thing I'm learning. See, Sun Tzu counts on me thinking conventionally. And that's how I get into trouble. When you're dealing with him, you got to think unconventionally. Yeah. Yeah, I do believe that he has contaminated the Linux Ubuntu kernel. It's operating very similar to the way Windows used to, which is a shame because it's an excellent operating system. I do have faith that my men might be able to fix this over the next year. In the meanwhile, I'm going to be migrating to another operating system that hopefully will make it so maybe I can do step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to get things done. We shall see. I'm too busy for all this nonsense. Anyways, you guys, I'm just glad I could make my YouTube video. I think I'll get some cooking done today, and I'm just going to let you know that if you have Linux Ubuntu and it's acting strange, maybe now you know why. It has been infiltrated by the enemy. Yeah. You say, well, maybe you should go back to Windows. Oh, no. You say, well, my Windows computer acts fine. That's because you're not me. Sun Tzu's very clever. He's come up with a programming where he can target how it acts up and make it very specific, to make me appear like I'm crazy and everything, Yeah. The Apple and Windows are shot. They got taken over by the bad guys a long time ago. And the bad guys are working on taking over Linux, and hopefully my men are going to be able to stop them. Anyways, you guys, I got to get going with my day here. I hope you all are having less fun with computers than I've been having.
In a world of secrets, where darkness reigns, there's a warrior rising, breaking free from chains. She's Gail Schuler, her heart pure and strong. With the power of love, she'll right the world's wrongs. Yeah. She's a first, a passionate crusader. Stand by the side of conquering.